order, so you do have to order at least $30 worth of groceries, and then you just want to schedule a pickup time, and we will go gather all of your groceries, and you can just pull up to our curb outside here at the pickup, and we will gladly bring them out to your car. You don't even have to go in the store. Things that are really nice about that is, for me personally, it saves me money. I only buy what's on my shopping list. I don't have to bring my daughter into the store and tell her no to the 5 things that she wants, a piece of candy or a balloon. It's time saving. I pull right up and I can do it. So if I'm at a sporting event with my daughter and I just don't have time later that night to go shopping, I can pull out my phone, put my groceries right in that day, and pick them up later that night. So come and try us out. We are so happy to be here to serve Spanish Fork. This is a great city. We've loved having our store here. You guys are the best customers around.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us where your store is located?
So we're just located on Canyon Creek Parkway, right across the street from the new movie theater, TJ Maxx, and we've been here about 3 years, but excited to bring a new service. And then for online growth.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. We'd like to welcome everyone here for our city council, and especially those who are watching on TV, where you guys could have been watching, but that's okay. We're glad you're here. To start off with, we've asked Chris Childs to start us off with a prayer, talk, or whatever.
Our Father in heaven, we're thankful for the opportunity we have to come together with this council, and we're thankful for the opportunity we have to live in this great city and to raise our families and enjoy each other's company. And we ask Thee to watch over this city, that we will be able to make the correct decisions and move forward in a way that is beneficial to all of those that live here. And we say and ask these things humbly in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Fred. I've asked Council Member Beck to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please repeat the pledge after me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'd like to turn some time over to our Miss Spanish Fork royalty. Come on down.
We're going from queen to attendance, so I hope that's okay. So I am Morgan Olson. I am the daughter of Kevin and Jennifer Olson, and I have been born and raised in Spanish Fork. I am a pure Spanish Forkian girl. I grew up in the baseball parks, and I grew up watching the Fiesta Days Parade, and I am currently attending Spanish Fork High School. I will be graduating from there this upcoming Wednesday, and I'm very excited. I was able to be a part of the cheer team there for the past 3 years, and I had the amazing opportunity. Sorry, I'm sick this week. I had the amazing opportunity to be on the cheer team there, and I was able to serve as the sophomore cheer captain my sophomore year and the varsity unity leader this past year, which basically means I got to throw parties for the cheer team, which was always fun. I am so excited to be representing our city and to be promoting my platform this summer, which is entitled Hospital Heroes. It's all about being an advocate for children in hospitals, and it's something very near and dear to my heart. My twin brother was actually ran over by a truck when we were almost 2 years old, and Primary Children's did so much more than save his life. They provided a little bit of extra sunshine in his day, and I love doing service projects to take up to the pediatric floors at hospitals in order to provide sunshine into their lives. And this upcoming fall, I will be taking classes through Dixie State University. I will be majoring in communications. I am a little sad not to be able to move down there with my friends, but I wanted to be very present in the city as Miss Spanish Fork, so I chose to stay up here and take classes through their online courses. I also hope to attend law school in the future and graduate with my Juris Doctorate and become a criminal defense attorney. So that's me.
Great.
Here's my first attendant.
Hello, I'm Jill McConnell. I'm the first attendant this year. Right now, I work as customer service at Capital One. I love my job. I love the people I get to talk to every day and just what I do with the finances. I'm also currently at UVU. My major is political science, and then I have a double minor in communications and marketing I'm working on right now. My end goal is to go to law school as well. I actually want to be a criminal defense attorney too, so just fit great. So I love everything politics, political. My platform is actually My Vote Counts, so encouraging people to vote, to make an informed vote, and then to be more politically involved. We have some great races coming up this summer, especially at the primary and the congressional races and our county races, so I'm really excited to help out on those. Right now, yeah, and I'm just going to school and working, but I'm really excited to be a part of the royalty this year. I love Spanish Fork. I particularly love Glades and their fries and white sauce. So
Hey, there you
it's
nice
a great
plug.
part there. So I'm really proud to live in Spanish Fork, and I'm excited to be a part of the progress this year.
Thank you.
So is this our next attorney?
No, actually. I'm Catherine McAnally, but everyone calls me Kate. I've been living in Spanish Fork for almost 18 years now. I just finished my first year at Brigham Young University, and I am not planning on going to law school. My major is actually in elementary education, and I would like to be a third grade teacher, which also inspired my platform, Oh, the Places You'll Go, Reading to Achieve, and it just focuses on reading skills and early child development and focusing on their literary skills and comprehension skills. And I'm just super excited to be a part of Spanish Fork and help our growing generations learn how to read better and become better citizens, and I'm really looking forward to being a part of the royalty with these awesome ladies.
Great, thank you. We sure appreciate all you do and the time that you're going to put in.
Thank you, ladies.
See ya. Okay. Public comments. Anyone out there in the public would like to come up and address the mayor and the council, you're sure welcome to do that at this time. Come up and state your name.
My name is Matt Riggs. I live on 101 North, 200 West. I got this letter in the mail for a proposal of a zoning change. And this is right next door to me. And I assume that this empty lot wants to be turned into an apartment complex. Not sure if it's a duplex or a fourplex or what. I'm not sure. But I do have some concerns. I've lived on this road for 20 years, and there used to be a little house north of me, and it was turned into a duplex, and I had some bad experiences, and I was trying to be a nice neighbor, and my niceness didn't last very long. I had my power turned off. They were using my water. They were using part of my yard as a dump, and I just don't want this to happen again. If this zoning change does get pushed through, I would like a structural fence of some sort that is a good boundary line. Right now, there's not a very good boundary line to this property. So,
Show us right where you're at. You got a pointer right there in front of you? That black? Yeah.
okay.
Just push that little button on
Sure.
the end,
All right.
no, right in front,
All right, so,
on the side there.
got it.
There you go.
All right. So I am right there. There's the empty lot right there. So I'm not really acquainted with the owner very well. I have kept his weeds down a little bit because right now they're about 3 feet tall. And I've kept this green strip mowed and trimmed. And I'm a little bit worried when this all dries out, it's a fire hazard anyway. But you know, I'm more than willing to work with this person, you know.
Is there going to
absolutely.
be a public hearing on this? Dave, maybe Dave can address this, because normally we'll have the opportunity for you to come and talk.
So anyway, this is the property I'm concerned about here. Like I say, I don't know what the proposal is for what kind of structures are going to be built, but you know, just a concern.
Sure.
Okay.
And I appreciate that.
Thank you, Matt.
You want to address it? Maybe
Thank
Dave
you
can address
for your
that
time.
real quick.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit more information. The applicant's on a proposal to put either 2 or 3 units on the property that the gentleman's referring to there. Kind of went back to the drawing board after we advertised for a public hearing with the Planning Commission that would have been a couple of weeks ago and a public hearing with you tonight. There's a good chance that we'll re-advertise for a public hearing with the Planning Commission that will be the first Wednesday in June. So you'll get another letter for that. And that'd be a great time to come and learn more about the project, see what it is that they plan to do, talk about any concerns that you might have. And I think you mentioned maybe like a good wall or a fence on the property line, different things like that that can be done to try to make sure that there's no negative impact that comes from any kind of development on that property. We don't have an updated plan yet from the applicants, or I'd invite you to come by the office and take a look at that. We might have that in a week or two.
Who do you represent? Are you the city or?
I am,
Okay.
yeah. In fact, I'll do a chat for a second. I can tell you a little bit more.
Sure.
But that's where we're at in
Okay.
terms of.
Great, so you'll have an opportunity to
So I'll
address
expect
that.
another letter in the mail and.
Before there's a public hearing, we'll send another notice.
Yep, and you'll have an opportunity to address that.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else that'd like to come up? Okay, we'll let you come up.
Mayor, I'm Chris Child, airport manager, as you're aware, and I've got Paul Janssen with me. He's the director of the Gail Halverson Foundation, and we'd like to just take a minute and talk about kind of the event we had a couple of Saturdays ago and kind of just fill you in. I'll let Paul kind of take over.
Oh, good.
Yeah, on May 5th, we had our big kickoff event, and we were thrilled with the participation we had. As you can see, I was standing just behind this camera, and I thought there was 500 kids running at me. But we think that there was close to 1,000 people that showed up to the event. What we're looking at in the future is to have a groundbreaking in September and then a big annual gala event in October to continue in our fundraising. And the groundbreaking, we've planned it for September because we believe by then we'll have the funding in place to start seriously on the building. The other future plans we have that's just recently happened is that we have had a fellow who is an expert from the Air Force in simulator training who has come on board to help us expand that end of the educational foundation. We met with UVU with this in mind, and they said our facility was way too small. So we are now looking at expanding it, and we're very excited because I think the educational part of this facility is looking like it's going to be a significant impact on the community, not only with Nebo School District and other school districts, but with any organization that wants to make use of STEM training and education. Now, we also, in addition to, we've got next Thursday, or a week from Thursday, on the 24th, a benefit concert with Colin Ray, and we'd like to invite each of you to come. There's no cost to it. This is a private concert that we're inviting anybody that is a supporter or wants to be a supporter of this foundation to come to that event, and that'll be at Thanksgiving Point. We're hoping to have a great turnout at that as well. And so, again, I just want you to know how much we really appreciate the city's support. I know you've been with us from day one, and this event, this kickoff event, would not have happened to the degree it did without your lending us different facilities and giving us the support we need, and we appreciate and want you to know that. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. That was a great event. It was kind of fun. Okay, come on up. Just state your name, rank, and serial number.
Okay. My name's Martina Walker, and thank you for listening to me for a minute. I just was wondering about what the plans for Spanish Fork are for the property across from Highway 164 that comes from the Benjamin exit. I've heard some rumors, and I don't know whether they're true or not. Maybe you have closed lips and can't tell me.
On the interchange there? Where you at?
As it comes off of I-15, and it connects with the I-64 that ends down there by the bridge. On the north side, across from Revere Health.
Okay.
What are the plans for the city? Can't tell me?
Well,
let's see it tighter. Pull it up.
Can you get that up for us? The Benjamin Salem exit.
You want a general plan map? Okay. Let me.
Should be on about 1450.
Right there.
Okay, let me pull up layers.
And we've got the guy that has all the answers standing right next to you. It's his night tonight.
I want to know.
So, ma'am, are your questions more about what kind of development might happen
Yes.
out in that area?
Yes.
So there's the interchange right there. There's Revere.
So yeah, like the mayor said, the new Revere Health Facility, which is in Salem, right across from land that we expect will be annexed into Spanish Fork, but it hasn't been yet. So most of this area out here is still in Utah County. And the plans that we have for development as you get closer to that interchange aren't really set in stone, but in general we expect that close to the interchange, kind of where this is in the red color, things will develop with some kind of retail use. So maybe some stores that be similar to what we see on the north end of the city today. In the Canyon Creek project, some big box retailers, maybe a grocery store, different things like that, probably along with a lot of smaller retailers, clothing stores, restaurants and that type of a thing, probably with some professional office uses as well. And as you move further to the north and to the east from the interchange, we expect the uses to get a little bit less intense. So go from predominantly retail to maybe a mixture of professional office and some higher density residential to an area where it might be exclusively residential, but maybe a little bit higher density. And then single family detached homes all the way over to the development that's happened next to Mill Road over here. So the Old Mill Estates project and Academy Park and those. We expect the development over there to be, really similar to what's happened in those projects there.
You're not telling me too much, but enough, I guess. I had one other question. There was a sign down by Clint Harwood's property, which is kind of where that curve is, about a city planning commission. I thought the meeting was tonight. Was that not? That was what was posted on the sign.
The planning commission is tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. And what time is that?
6 o'clock.
6? Okay, I'll see if I can be here.
But hey, we're glad you came tonight because we're glad to see you.
You're talking about El Monte Road, ma'am? Is that?
No, El Monte, it's, well,
Where
the curve is right there.
Okay.
There was a gray sign saying the planning commission had plans for, and I couldn't read it, I'm sorry, and there was so much
So
traffic.
to save you a trip and maybe anybody else that's listening tonight to come to the planning commission meeting tomorrow night or in a couple of weeks, the applicants on that proposal have withdrawn their request. So we'll probably talk about that again, but not for a few months, and we'll put up a different sign for a public hearing when that happens.
Put it in a different spot because you about get run over standing there trying to read it. Thank you for your time.
Tell Jay hello for me.
I will.
All right, thank you. Anyone else that'd like to come up? Come on down. Oh, no.
Okay, Lorraine Shannon, 3077 East Canyon Glen Loop. I'm in that community there by the golf course where the Santa Quinn project is kind of finishing up. There is that property there between the golf course and River Bottoms Road. And there's so many stories floating around what's going to happen to that land. Is there anything you can tell us at this point about anything about that land, what's going to happen?
You're talking about this land right here?
Yeah, that strip of land there.
Once again, it's your night.
Lucky night, huh? Jeez.
Can you fit
Never happens.
fit a small target on that?
Well, I didn't mean to be vague on the last questions that I got asked, but we haven't seen any development proposal for this property at all. Other than that, about maybe 9, 10, 11 years ago, we did have some discussion with the current property owner about doing some kind of development that might be somewhat similar to what's across the road with those townhomes and twin homes. But I don't believe the property is zoned for that today. In fact, Tyler, maybe if you could just turn on the zoning layer really quick, we can check that out. So there's a process that anybody would have to go through before they could develop that property, and it does involve a zone change as well. So ultimately, it's going to be up to the city council as to what happens there, maybe to share some of the heat. But we haven't seen anything and haven't even discussed the idea of that developing.
Once again, if it goes to a zone change, it'll be posted and you'll be able to come and make comments and discuss that with
And
them.
in the meantime, all those mounds of dirt and everything, they're kind of finished there. Does that just get planted to grass?
Is that part of that,
It is.
part of the water line that's been going down through there? So they'll take care of those. Yep.
And then just really quick, River Bottoms farmland. I mean, you've heard this a million times. We like it.
So do we.
And you guys do too, because I read the article, I read your specific statement. And so just keep in mind, we love it. Okay.
Thanks, Shannon.
Oh, Shannon?
Shannon, city manager asked me to come up and just kind of talk about with that pipe project. The road will be widened, that ditch will be piped, and it should be a lot nicer for traveling through there. If anyone was parked on the road, it should be a little bit safer. It seems like it was a little tight there, so.
It'll be a safer driving through there.
Yeah, so I think there'll be some improvements immediately for you on that, so.
And again, we love our open land. You guys all know that.
Yeah, we do.
I haven't heard of any development plans either
No.
on that.
Okay,
Thank you.
Mind if I?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, we'd like to call up Dennis Sorensen and his wife Sherry, both.
You really got me in trouble now.
I know.
Do you want to borrow my news?
So Dennis served for 22 years as our wastewater division manager, or some title similar to that, but similar job requirements. He's been over the treatment plant for some time, and he did such a good job. We put him over the collection system as well, and I was very grateful that he was there as I came to be the director of Public Works because of his great counsel to me, and just knowing how he took care of the plant. He would always joke that he was keeping me out of jail and you out of jail, Mayor. And so anyone that's keeping us out of jail is a good guy, I feel like. But I do know something of the sacrifice that he and his good wife Sherry made over the years. Dennis had to be on call a lot. And that means he had to come in to the plant quite often after hours. I'm sure a lot of family gatherings were interrupted. A lot of dates were closer at home than you would like them to be. And so we are grateful to you as well on this, and we really want to recognize you for that. Dennis, when he first took over, helped solve a few problems that the plant was having, and he really went to bat for the city and worked hard, and because of his honest nature, but not backing down or being intimidated by state regulators is maybe the best way. EPA. And the reason why he wasn't intimidated, because he did his homework, he read the regulations, he made sure that we followed them, and because of that, and because of the respect that he had from the state and from the EPA, we have done really well for many, many years. We have one of the lowest sewer bills in the state, and we have a very healthy cash reserves for future upgrades to the plant. A lot of cities, as new regulation comes out, have had to really increase their sewer rates. We haven't had to do that because of some good planning, and we just are so grateful for Dennis and like to give him this plaque for in recognition of your outstanding achievements with the wastewater division of the Public Works Department and 22 years of exceptional service on behalf of Spanish Fork City.
Just like I've been telling the years all along, I took ownership of the plant. I was told when I first hired by Richard Heap that was one of the most expensive investments Spanish Fork had. I took it serious, and I'm also a citizen. So everything I tried to do down there was, in mind, was not paying higher taxes. If I could fix it, I fixed it. There's been a lot of times down there, a lot of problems. Anything can happen. Everything runs 24/7. And if a pump doesn't run, that's when things hit the fan, literally. And I still think it's my plant. I've been called out a couple of months ago at 2 o'clock in the morning. But I found out who was on call and got them and told them what to do. But I took pride in it, and I love it. Spanish Fork City has been one of the few jobs I've had that appreciate you and said it. So it made it worthwhile. All the extra time, everything else, it was worth it. And now in retirement, since I didn't get a seat up here, but that's okay. It's been great. I'm loving it. Planning on soon, I don't know how soon, but going on a mission with my wife and go from there. But thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Dennis. Appreciate it. All right, is there anyone else who'd like to come up? All right, seeing none, we'll go to council comments. Councilman Mendenhall.
Thank you, Mayor. We had a league board meeting just yesterday that talking about the up and coming things going on with the league and getting ready for the next conference coming up. But other than that, if I could just take a minute and have our SF active and healthy moment, if you will. I've got two exceptional youth that I've invited to council meeting tonight, and the role that the Active and Healthy campaign has taken over the last little bit, a couple of years that it's been in process, has been to make sure we're focusing on being physically healthy, but also mentally healthy. And I think I have two good examples tonight of one side of the physical side and the other side of the mental and emotional side of being healthy. So the first person I'd like to recognize, and you're going to have to come up here, Wyatt, because I get to embarrass you in front of all the people that are watching TV. Mayor says it's millions of people, so come on up. Come on. This is Wyatt Evans. Let me tell you a little bit about Wyatt, the son of Zane and Bree Evans. He's a junior at Spanish Fork High School. He loves to be involved in the school and all the activities that they provide. He's on the Seminary Student Council, loves the outdoors, camping, hiking, hunting, and fishing, loves to play Frisbee golf, loves to run and stay active. So here's the accomplishments that he recently had happen that we want to recognize him for. He currently holds the cross-country record at Spanish Fork High School and placed 4th at state as a junior, Brandon. He's still got another year to go. He set a new Spanish Fork High School record in the mile with a 4-minute, 13 seconds, and currently is ranked number 1 in the state of Utah for all 4A schools and only a few seconds off the all-time state record. Wow. Seth, where's our runner, Seth? He couldn't do that, I'll bet. Yeah, where's he? He left the room.
Seth, there he is.
Yeah.
Hey, did you know that when I was a Spanish Fork Don, I ran the mile for Spanish Fork? I was our number 3 miler.
No.
Yes.
You jogged it.
No, there was only 3 milers on the team, and I was the number 3 miler, so
there we go.
It was great. Great
so,
job.
Wyatt took first in his age group from Spanish Fork at the Speedy Spaniard annual race, and he loves to be active. His dad told me he even tries to keep his fingers active playing Xbox once in a while. Yeah. So all parts. We look forward and wish him the best of luck from the city and from the active and healthy community that this Thursday and Friday you'll be running in the state tournament, right? So he's got to get home and get some sleep, can't be up. And he'll be a serious contender for a state title in several running events. So with another year still of high school, everybody better keep their eye on Wyatt if you can. He's kind of like a flash just going past you. But you're a great example of being active and healthy, and we appreciate you doing that. So anything you'd like to say for yourself?
That's good. That's something pretty good.
We covered it?
Yeah.
All right.
Way to go, Wyatt.
If you'll stay for just a second, we're going to recognize another teen that's doing some exceptional things, and we have a gift to give you from the Active and Healthy group. So
Ready.
Is that all right? Yeah. Okay, thanks, Wyatt. Okay, my second example of being active and healthy is a neighbor of ours up on the east side of town that I've seen for quite some time in the neighborhood, and was just recently made aware of what she does every day on a daily basis. And I know it involves her sister as well, and I don't want to mess this up, so I just want to read a little bit about Rachel Wasden. Rachel, if you could come up here and be embarrassed like I embarrassed Wyatt, that'd be great. First of all, Megan's older sister, these exceptional young women raised by good parents help every day a young man, now his name's left me, Skylar, right? Help a young man that's, how old is Skylar?
He's 8.
Skylar's 8, lives in our neighborhood, and lost his mom over a year ago. These young women, and now it's Rachel's job, helps to take care of Skylar and walk him home from school, and so they're walking in our neighborhood quite a bit, and I'm just going to read this so I can stop mumbling around it. But Megan initially took care of Skylar after he lost his mom, and then Megan started at BYU. You still going to BYU, Megan? Still doing that? I guess that's okay.
It's great.
Mayor likes BYU. She had a strong impression after being accepted to BYU that she needed to stay and help Skylar, so she stuck around and did that for a while. A week later, Skylar's dad, Scott, was diagnosed with a brain tumor, so that summer was hard. Scott was in and out of the hospital with surgeries and complications, and through it all, Megan cared for Skylar. She shopped, was in and out of the she cleaned, took care of dogs and cats, meal planned and cooked. She cleaned out the kitchen, kept the laundry current. She did more than really anyone else could have done. Thankfully, Scott got through that summer and was stable by the time Megan started at BYU. That's when Rachel stepped in. What a blessing that you got 2 great daughters that are in this neighborhood. Rachel took care of Skylar from time to time, and now takes care of him every day. They've built a relationship. She set up a schedule of journaling to improve his writing, park time, friend time, and adventure Thursdays when they swim, play Nickelmania, drive to new parks, or otherwise explore. Rachel loves her time with Skylar so much that she turned down tennis lessons, her favorite sport, because she didn't want to lose time with him. Her best days are when he is having so much fun that he wants to skip his computer game time so they can play more. There's no exaggeration when I say she loves him like the little brother she never had. Skylar's dad, Scott, reminds us that she's already donated over 40 hours of service, and she said that she's wanted to donate more to help Skylar out. Rachel finds no greater joy than serving people. She's the kind of kid that wakes up early to bring her parents breakfast. When her aunt was fighting breast cancer, Rachel sold candy bars to help contribute to her medical bills. Last year, her math teacher made her a peer tutor so she could help other kids. While she saved most of her money from her different jobs, her single biggest expense has been gifts for friends and literally over 1,000 pieces of gum given out daily at school. When I asked her about why she bought and gave out so much gum each week, she said, "I love to meet more kids this way and make them smile."
I've made a lot of friends.
I'll bet you have. I'll bet you have. Gum's a good thing. Rachel, you've made all of us smile by your example of what you do in our neighborhood and in our community. And we're so proud of your service, your selfless service to that young man. And again, Brandon said it before about some other people we've talked about. You'll never know the ripple effects of your kind gesture and what that does to our community, but to the world. This is how you change the world. So thank you for that. Thank you for being such a great example. Stay up here. Wyatt, come on, come get one of these. We're going to get a picture with everybody down there too. But Wyatt, we got a little gift bag in there of Spanish Fork swag, and the same with you, Rachel. But I also wanted to, we had some people that saw a post on Facebook that I had about you, Rachel. They didn't know who you were, but they wanted to contribute some money because they know you donate so much time and energy with Skylar that they got together and wanted to give you some money. So I hope you'll accept that. And you can buy a lot of gum with it or whatever you want to do with it. That's from you, from some local citizens that saw your cause and were inspired. So good work. Wyatt, Endurance Athletics, wants you to run with their stuff on. They think you're very cool, and they got a lot of good stuff down there. So they wanted me to give you a gift certificate and make sure you go down there and get some stuff to help keep running faster and faster. So there you go.
Nice job.
You guys can stand right there. We'll come down real quick and get a picture with you if that's okay.
Just face, if you want to face Scott, face Scott, that way you can get everybody.
Let's get in front of the stand there.
I'm tall enough.
There you go.
Perfect. Okay, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Perfect.
Good work. Thank you. Congratulations.
Good job, Wyatt.
Thank
If
you.
there's any money left over on the gift certificate, your dad needs it.
I know he does.
Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thanks. See you, Wyatt. Yep. Thank you for that, Mayor. And that's part of the Active and Healthy initiative is try to recognize those people that are doing good in our community, and there's a couple that are doing great. So that's all I have.
Great. Councilman Gordon.
Mayor, a few things to report on. Had a chamber meeting. Chamber's moving to a new location out of the city office building, so they'll be moving to the old Farmers Insurance building on First North and 50 East, right next to Tabitha's Way, new building that they're in. And so they'll be moving out, planning on June 1st. So keep that in mind and share that with anybody that usually comes here to the city office building to seek out them and any information that they have going on. Not a lot of other things to report other than thank you. They joined they helped with the Downtown on Main group. We met there and talked about the movies in the park, but most importantly, we talked about the event that was this last Saturday, Volkswagen car show here at the park behind the library, and that was very, very cool. My son is currently looking for a Volkswagen of any kind in any field, he says, because that's where some of the guys said. Like my friend Tony found this one in Delta, and so my son, now he's on a mission, and everywhere he drives, he's looking for an old Volkswagen and thinks that they just magically start right up, and they don't cost a lot of money. We didn't get into that, but it was an incredible show, well attended despite the rain, and just awesome event just to be able to come downtown and enjoy each other's company, get out of the house, and see some other people's passions and projects. And so it was a very cool project, one of many that the Downtown on Main group, like I say, joined up with the city and the Chamber of Commerce on, and that went off very well. The only other thing that I was going to report on, attended WasteCon down in Las Vegas. Amazing show about garbage, and it is incredible, the acres and acres of just things related to our garbage processes. Many of you know that our contract with our current hauler is coming up next year, and so currently exploring all options and the possibility of looking at maybe even the cost of what it will be to haul our own garbage like we did back in the 90s. Just exploring that, making sure we're doing our due diligence, so spent some time down there with Max Saby. Max handles our fleet for Spanish Fork City, which you can imagine is a lot of vehicles and a lot of trucks and things to maintain, so got some good insight on these garbage trucks and the processes. So that was time well spent, and that's all I have, Mayor.
Right. Councilman Argyle.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to report that we had our SIML meeting the other day, and in the discussion, as one of their assets, they hold a 249-acre piece of ground down by the lake, which was acquired about 10 years ago for a regional wastewater treatment plant. And through some discussion that had taken place, that they had wanted to dispose of that and maybe sell that property, because the 7 cities that were involved with that did not have an interest in being regional, having one regional treatment plant. However, the state has expressed some misgivings or concerning that there should be a regional plant, and Salem City, of course, is now building a new sewer plant. So with a little bit of pushback, they've asked to meet with the state people and see what their concerns or what their interests for the future are in that piece of ground. They did have it, I guess it wasn't appraised, but it was assessed, and of the 149 acres, 45 of it was declared wetlands, which makes it kind of unusable as a wastewater treatment, but would have to be some other things done with that. So they're pushing back just a little bit, because they were going down the road to put it up for sale, but they're going to put that on hold for a little bit and see if they can address some of the concerns that the state has. So just so that we're aware of that, because we're one of the cities that bought that piece of ground for that reason, but most of the cities now are not interested in that regional treatment plant. So that's all I have.
Councilmember Beck.
Thank you. I want to start off with just showing some pictures from last week's Freedom Walk. That was from American Legion Post 68, and it was last Tuesday and Wednesday. This was for the 5th graders in Spanish Fork and Salem elementary schools. Several principals were really involved in coordinating this event. This was the second time we did it, or they put this on. A big shout out to Richard Janssen, who had the vision to have these kids come. A cool thing about it is these t-shirts that they're wearing, they let all of the kids come up with a design for a t-shirt and then submitted that, and the veterans went through and chose a t-shirt. And then all of the fifth graders received a t-shirt and dog tags. And so they went from, I think 7 different stations and spent about 15 minutes at each one, where they learned about all the different branches of the military and had lunch down there. And it was just a really, really neat event. And the kids are very respectful in this kind of circumstance as well. They listened and were attentive and helpful. There were a couple classes on the second day that helped stay and clean up. So I just want to thank the veterans for having such insight to do such a cool event, and the Chamber of Commerce for sponsoring that for a 3-year period so these kids can get some of these things like the t-shirt and dog tag and have these experiences. And the second thing is, last week the Youth City Council said goodbye to their seniors. There were several that are graduating and moving on, doing some really great things. 2 of our Youth City Council are even featured in this issue of Utah Valley Magazine as a senior who will change the world. And they're just really great kids. They volunteer a lot, they give back, they serve our community, and they're a great example. And so if there's kids out there who would like to be on the Youth City Council for this upcoming year, applications are in all of the offices at the schools from 9th grade up to your senior year, and you just need to fill out that application. They would love to have new people join and participate and make new friends. And I think that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Scopes.
There's 2. Okay, so there's that one, and then I actually just emailed you a picture.
Oh, okay. I'll pull that up.
If you
too.
could look for that. That's on a different topic, though. First, to mention, we had the Chamber of Commerce and Rotary had a scholarship golf tournament. We used that. That was a great setting for the ribbon cutting at the Oaks, the new golf clubhouse up at the golf course. It was a great time to be able to go. Plenty of room to be able to walk around, which really is that was the impetus. Yep, that one. That was the impetus for the changes. The improvement was to be able to have space to have tournaments. We get a lot of corporate sponsors, corporate entities that come and utilize that facility. And it's been very cramped, so it was wonderful to be able to have that. The setting was fantastic. Mayor, we were sitting next to each other, and I think I remember Dr. Tracy saying that it was $20,000 worth of scholarships.
$20,000, and they were giving out 20 $1,500 scholarships this year. So great event to all those graduating high school people that apply for that. Good thing.
Yeah, so it was an absolutely fantastic opportunity to be up there. Appreciate the Parks and Rec staff, all that they do. The golf pro, Ryan Reese, is doing a fantastic job. For those that do play golf, I understand that the golf course is in spectacular condition and just a very well-run facility. Wonderful to have that asset in the city. Tomorrow we have the animal shelter board meeting. We'll have a presentation of the 2019 budget as well as a shelter report. The Veterans Council had met, and some information put out on May 28th is Memorial Day. The Veterans Memorial Program will begin at 10:30 in the morning on May 28th. On Thursday, the 24th, all who would like to are invited to show up at the cemetery at 3 p.m. That's 1,500 hours to be able to put out the crosses and flags. If this year is any indication of last year and years past, if you show up around 3:07, you will miss the opportunity to put out crosses and flags. It goes very, very quick. There's a lot of scout help. A lot of community help to get those out, and it actually goes very, very quickly. Not saying that as a deterrent, as in don't go. Truly appreciate everyone's support in setting those out for the Memorial Day program. I did have the opportunity to go down to the Veterans Walk for Life. Some of my old students I had last year were down there. And as a veteran, it was very neat to see veterans, friends of mine, being able to present. As a school teacher, I can tell you that this is a great opportunity for the kids to learn from these wonderful generations of veterans, men and women that have served our country in fantastic ways. Truly 1% of our nation's population wear the uniform, and so it was a neat event, and neat for the kids to be able to go down and see that. And then, if you'll indulge me, lastly, Tyler, if you'll put that picture up. I might have a hard time getting through this one. The picture is of Brad Gonzalez. He was a former Fiesta Days chairman, also a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission, member of our community. He and the brigade unit, the 65th Fires Brigade, are currently deployed to the Middle East. I got that picture as well as a few others from him earlier this week, and just wonderful to be able to know that he and members of the 65th Fires Brigade, they're a field artillery unit, are alive and doing great things for us. In 20 years of military service so far, 2.5 years of my service was as the intelligence officer with this artillery unit. They do a fantastic job of identifying and reaching out to touch certain targets that are a little farther away than gunfire, but they do that in the name of making sure that the infantry, intelligence assets, and other assets stay safe. Field artillery is known as the king of battle for many very specific reasons, mostly because the bullets they shoot weigh about 100 pounds or more. They do an absolutely fantastic job. Brad's message is, with this picture from the Middle East, we are kicking tail and taking names, and they are serving real-world missions around the clock, 24-hour missions. They do that in shift work. And this Memorial Day coming up, what a wonderful opportunity to be able to remember those in our community that have served and continue to serve. Just wonderful to share that with the council and with our community, that we do have members of our community downrange, and they are doing absolutely wonderful things for our city, our community, and for our great country. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Okay, great events have happened, and we're great that we can, or it's awesome that we can all be a part of it. All right, let's move along to Spanish Fork 101.
Can I get permission to do it from here? Please. Thanks.
This once.
This is about the new website. So I want to ask you guys some quiz questions. Councilman Mendenhall at a recent conference inspired me to take this approach, as he took a look down memory lane from about 30 years ago. I only want to go back about 10 years. So about 10 years ago, the city had a part-time employee that was managing our website. We didn't have a full-time webmaster. And about 10 years ago, we hired Jeremy Coe to manage our website. And as you guys know, the city's matured quite a bit over the last 10 years, but I want to throw out some questions to see how much you guys know about what's gone on during that period of time. So the first question is, when was the first iPhone released?
When?
Do you guys know when the first iPhone, what year?
2006.
Ooh, you're close.
These aren't multiple guess questions.
2007. How many iPhones do you think were sold in 2008?
Too many. Yeah, a couple thousand.
Junior, this one's for you. 6 million. You're close. 10 million. How about last year? So fast forward 10 years almost. How many iPhones do you think were sold last year? So it was 10 million in 2008.
10 billion.
Well, not overall, but just in 1 year. Not in one. Not in 1 year.
Well, welcome to the Gordon family.
So in 1 year, almost 217 million iPhones were sold last year. So we went from 10 million to 217 million. How many people lived in Spanish Fork? This one's a little closer to home.
40,000.
Right now, 40,000. You got
You mean back
you got this
10
year.
years?
So 10 years ago, how many?
27,500.
Holy cow. You were good. It said 26,000, but give
That's
or
not
take a
even
few.
close.
So
Don't tell her.
that's
Tyler.
that's over. Sorry, no. We're playing Price is Right rules, right? Okay. So what about when was Facebook opened up to users worldwide? What year?
Oh, wait.
Close. 2006. And how many Facebook users were there in total in 2008? Any guesses?
Not me.
You guys can guess too. How many? 100 million. Oh my heck. Did you see my notes? Yeah, 100 million. So how many Facebook users in the first quarter of 2018 are there in total now? So Brandon, this is in total.
I just wish you wouldn't.
Go back to your billion.
Don't compliment everybody. They're not that close, Tyler. They're wrong. You need to let them know.
Seth got it right on.
Seth.
Right on the money.
He's Googling.
He won both
iPhone.
He won both showcases. So how about first quarter 2018? So 10 years ago, 100 million. In 2018, 2.19 billion users on Facebook. So as you can see, the means of communicating have changed quite a bit over the last 10 years, and when we established our website, even a little bit before that. So what's cool about the new website, I'm going to go there now, SpanishFork.org. Those of you that are watching at home or in the audience, you're more than welcome to actually pull out your cell phones. I won't get offended, and you can go to SpanishFork.org. Because one of the reasons we made some changes to the website is so that it would be more mobile friendly. So as you go on your phone, you'll notice that it now adapts to the environment. I learned some new terminology when it comes to web pages as we were going through this process. So that was one of the reasons why we made the change. We wanted a new, fresh look and feel, make it a little bit more clean. We wanted to be easy to navigate. With only a couple clicks, be able to get from one place to another. So, for example, if you're sitting at home right now and just thinking about how much you'd like to pay your utility bill, you can go to How Do I and go to Pay or Purchase, click Pay Utility Bill, and then on this page there's some links that you can go to pay. But hopefully you're already on AutoPay. We'd like to encourage you all to get on AutoPay if you're not. It's a great way to go. And then another thing that we liked about it is this new website allows our different divisions and departments to easily update calendars and news sources. We've got a Facebook feed on here that you can click on, and it'll take you right to our Facebook page for more information about what's going on in the city. Upcoming events on the calendar. Those of you that are big into parks and recreation activities, you can click View Full Calendar. And here you can actually change it, and you can go to the Parks and Rec calendar, and it'll have all the different events and different programs that we have that you can sign up for. It has all the deadlines, the registration times, etc. So that's a nice feature there. If you're watching this from another country, another state, another city, you can click up here to explore and visit, and you can see a lot of our welcoming residents here saying, hey, come on over and enjoy some good fun with us. And really, it's turned out to be a great thing. We do realize there are some things that still need to be updated on this, and we're grateful for the patience of all the public as we go through this. We'll continue to refine it and make it easier to navigate, and also find the content that you are used to on the other pages. So just wanted to introduce you guys to that, and we'll put out more information on it as we get it more refined so that the public can go out and explore as well. But we have much thanks to Jeremy Coe, Brian Hayward, who work for our IT department, that have done a lot of work on the back end and programming on this, and also the committee that helped with the redesign, Dave Anderson, Chris Thompson, Del Robinson, Suzanne Christensen, Susan Beckstrom. They may not even remember because it's been so long since we had that committee going, but we really appreciate all they did. And then also Sarah Randall, who works in our legal department, took some extra time to go and take some photos for the website. And a local resident that also has a business here, Eric Melander, provided some of the pictures as well. So we're grateful for that. Grateful for you guys allowing us to move forward with this too. So any questions?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Chad's got one.
Okay.
Where's the contact numbers?
So there's a couple ways you can actually look at it. So the contacts on the bottom of every page, it has the main phone number. And then also up here, how do I contact? If you click on contact, then it has a phone number by mail or in person. We do need to actually get the phone numbers for each of the different departments on there. Okay. That's one thing we need to update. So I appreciate you asking that. We'll get that added here soon. So.
Yeah, I just thought I couldn't find it, so now I feel better because it was there. I was finding it, but I was expecting a big long.
It's not. Yeah, it's just not there yet. The whole thing. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Tyler, for doing that.
Tyler, do they have a clicker on Stacy's page, how many times it gets visited a day? Hasn't it crashed before because of the over?
It has.
People just go into
similar to when someone was trying to buy World Series tickets to the Colorado Rockies game and the website crashed and we had to wait a few days.
He tried.
I got tickets and went.
Well, I need to learn from you.
What is the most visited part of our, like, is it Parks and Rec, like people trying to see if they
from what Jeremy in our IT department who tracks that with I think he uses Google Analytics. It is the Parks and Recreation. Information. So.
And you got that email letter I got that I forwarded to Seth and Dell?
I'm not sure. Maybe.
Well, some of the pictures I got an email from a sweet little girl saying, "Hey, I loved your website. It was great. But I noticed all the pictures in the sports were all of boys. Girls play ball too."
Yes, we do actually have some. We have some great pictures of girls playing soccer.
Great.
Some other things that we'll rotate. We'll rotate the pictures through.
And she said, "Thank you. It was really good."
Just
let them know that
Angie
girls
did
play
read
sports
that
too.
I like that letter. So.
Okay. Thanks. All right. Thank you. All right. Consent items.
Motion to approve the consent items.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Gordon, a second by Councilman Argyle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Good deal. Okay, public hearing, ordinance A18-02, annexing property known as the Stephen Johnson annexation.
This your first time up, Dave, today?
First official time, right?
Yes.
That's it. Game on.
You can get a lot of steps.
3.5 acres, State Road 51, so the old Springville Highway, heading north out of town. The subject property right here between, like I said a second ago, State Road 51 and the railroad tracks. We recently amended our annexation policy plan to include this property and a little parcel that's next to it that still is in Utah County. And it's my understanding that this land that previously was in, I think in fact it might still be in Springville's annexation policy, they've acquiesced and agreed to allow it to be annexed into Spanish Fork. And with that, we've been through the process where we've provided notice to all of the parties per the Utah Code. We've been through a protest period, did not receive any protests. Took this proposal to the Planning Commission to annex these 3.5 acres a couple of weeks ago. The Planning Commission recommended that the annexation be approved and that rural residential zoning be assigned at the time of annexation, which is consistent with the recommendation that the Development Review Committee made. As the mayor mentioned, this is a public hearing for the annexation, but staff, as was the case with the Development Review Committee and the Planning Commission, recommend that the annexation be approved and that these 3 acres be annexed into Spanish Fork with rural residential zoning. This annexation would then pave the way for Spanish Fork to be able to do a boundary adjustment with Springville. I think I just misspoke a moment ago. I'm fairly certain that this land right here that's immediately adjacent to what we're talking about tonight is in Springville, but along with this land, it's my understanding that Springville is comfortable with that property coming into Spanish Fork and that our attorneys had some correspondence with theirs, and that once that adjustment's made so that all of this land is in Spanish Fork, then we anticipate coming back through the development review process to talk about zoning and to amend the preliminary plat for a townhome project that's adjacent to the subject property here to the south. On this image here, I believe this is the annexation area right here. along with the land here, that we would adjust the boundary between Spanish Fork and Springville to bring into Spanish Fork. So this image shows what that townhome development would look like should the annexation and the boundary adjustment and an amended preliminary plat with a zone change all be approved. So looking a little bit down the road still, but this is sort of the ultimate goal. And again, we recommend that the annexation be approved and that rural residential zoning be assigned.
Great. This is a public hearing, so I'd entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Mendenhall, a second by Councilman Scobes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Anyone from the public would like to come and address the mayor or the council on this particular project, you feel free to come up. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to go out of public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Gordon, second by Councilmember Beck. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any questions, comments?
Dave, you said rural residential for this piece of ground,
Yes.
but here it says R3.
We'll go through.
Well,
the
we need to
process.
fix that. In the staff report, we said R3.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what you've
But in
got.
the ordinance, you got it right.
We know that the applicant's end goal is to have the property zoned R3.
Same as this piece, the piece of ground to the south.
The same as
Okay.
what's to the south. We haven't made a practice in the past of zoning property for that kind of density, really for any residential use, until we're ready to act on a preliminary plat as
Okay.
well, which, because particularly we still need to adjust the boundary with Springville to bring that little parcel in, to have it included in this project. We can't take that to you for action until it's all in Spanish
complete.
Fork. So that's why it's a little awkward to explain the process here because it is a bit disjointed. There's simply a number of steps that we have to get through before ultimately we can talk about what's on that bottom image there. But I apologize if we
Oh, that's
misnoted
okay.
something as R3. We're not quite ready for that yet.
Okay. Thanks, Dave.
You bet.
Any other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve ordinance A 18-02 annexing property known as the Steve Johnson annexation.
Second?
Got a motion by Councilman Mendenhall, a second by Councilman Argal. This is a roll call vote. Councilman Scobes.
Aye.
Councilman Mendenhall.
Aye.
Councilman Gordon.
Aye.
Councilman Beck.
Aye.
Councilman Argal.
Aye.
That passes. Okay, ordinance Z05-18, changing the zoning designation and amending the original official zoning map of Spanish Fork City for the Larson-Smith zone change.
It's not kind of going to the other side of the community, out towards the Salem-Benjamin interchange. Subject property here is outlined in black. Currently zoned rural residential. There is a home on the subject property right here, and staff understands that the applicant would simply like to construct another house on that parcel. In order to do that, we need to create a separate lot for it. And as we understand it, they'd like that lot to be approximately 1 acre in size. So right now, with the minimum lot size being 5 acres, you couldn't approve a lot that was smaller than 5 acres. So with the proposed zone change to R130, they'd be able to carve off an acre lot, subdivide, and construct an additional home on what today is 1 parcel, create 2 there. Ultimately, we do have relatively higher density than half-acre and plus-sized lots for this part of the community, probably more like 9,000 and 10,000 square foot lots. But today, staff certainly feels comfortable with the idea that if they just want to build a house, and kind of the easiest way to get there is to assign this zoning, which really doesn't create enough development potential for the property to where we're really worried about making sure that we have a subdivision design that accounts for all of the things that we might want to address as we go through a typical subdivision approval process. So it's kind of like a holding state that we're recommending that we put the property into here. Enough of a zone change to allow for somebody to build another home on the subject property, but not enough to allow for the kind of development that ultimately we expect to see here and on surrounding properties. So maybe like an incremental step
towards having more development in the area. The applicant still needs to subdivide, and we've got some utility issues we need to address, but I think that probably would come together pretty quickly, and they'd be able to build another home.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Gordon, a second by Councilman Mendenhall. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're in public hearing. Anyone that would like to address this issue from the public, you're welcome to come up. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to go out of public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Scope. Oh, did you want to come up? No. Oh, okay. Well, I know. Well, don't hesitate when I give you an opportunity. Come on up. State your name.
Bodie Smith.
Okay.
Maybe I didn't hear you correctly. Are you saying we will be required to have an acre or 30,000 square feet?
30,000 square feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
all.
if you wanted to do anything bigger than that, you could, but that'd be the smallest.
Okay. So I was a question. I didn't know.
Good.
Didn't know if I heard it right.
There you go. All right. Anyone else?
Now's your chance.
Thank you. All right. A motion to go out.
So moved.
Second?
Got a motion by Councilman Gordon, a second by Councilmember Beck. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any questions on this one? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I move we approve ordinance Z05-18, changing the zoning designation, amending the official zoning map of Spanish Fork for the Larson Smith zone change.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Scobes, a second by Councilman Mendenhall. This also will be a roll call vote. Councilman Argyle.
Aye.
Councilmember Beck.
Aye.
Councilman Gordon.
Aye.
Councilman Mendenhall.
Aye.
Councilman Scobes.
Aye.
That passes. Okay. On to new business. Ace Hardware Fence approval request.
Title 15 limits fence height to 6 feet unless the city council approves something taller. Right now, there's a fence on the west side of Ace Hardware that's taller than 6 feet. It's this wrought iron look type of fence here. Ace Hardware would like to enclose the rest of the area that's under this roof right here and have the fence extend down along these bollards here to the outside of these doors, so this area would all be fenced in. We as staff don't have any concerns with them constructing fence along there. It would match this fence relative to type of construction and look. And we recommend that the city council approve an exception so that they could have that fence be 8 feet tall.
Correct. Any questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the Ace Hardware fence request for an 8-foot tall fence.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Beck, a second by Councilman Mendenhall. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That passes. UDOT access agreement for SR 164 and SR 15, Reader's Digest version.
Okay, so this is an agreement for State Road 51, which heads from 4th North up into Springville, kind of just on the other side of Highway 6 is where it starts. And then also for 164, which starts here on 100 South, or actually it starts over at Harrowhead Trail and Main Street, and then goes all the way over to I-15. What the state is wanting to do is get on the same page as far as how far apart you space the accesses, where signals will plan to be, and especially where there's multiple cities involved with these roads. The state is being proactive, is saying, okay, let's all 3 entities or 4 entities, depending on the road, be on the same page where we're going to allow accesses, signals, and what the spacing will be. We reviewed it. It's a little bit different than ours, but we feel like it's good. I don't know if it's a lot better, but it might even be better. And so we are going to change ours to match this. It would be a minor change in our master plan, and so we'd recommend that you approve this.
Any questions?
Does this require a public hearing normally? No, not for this.
Not for this. If not, I would entertain a motion.
I move we approve the UDOT access agreements for SR 164 and SR 51.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilmember Mendenhall, second by Councilman Gordon. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That passes. Spanish Fork River Conservation Plan Sprinkler Control,
Okay.
RFP.
We have been moving fast and furiously on this. We received some grant funds through Central Utah Conservancy District, $300,000, which have to be spent on controllers. Those funds have to be spent by July 1st. And so that being said, we went to RFP on providing smart controllers for the residents of Spanish Fork. We had 3 companies submit because of timing on how we can get all this done. We actually had the committee meetings this morning to select. We spent all morning long, including, I think we ended at about 1:30. So it was quite an ordeal selecting. But as we evaluated for cost, for quality, for features, and a lot of different criteria, the committee voted that we would recommend to the city council this contract for $300,000. So it's a little bit different. We're paying $300,000. So how many controllers can you give us for that is how this contract worked out. We would recommend that be awarded to a company called Rachio. And the main reasons being it was about the same costs as the first and second lowest bidders were really close in cost, Rachio and Orbit, but we felt like they were quite a bit more responsive, and it's interesting how evaluations online are coming to play, but looking at the evaluations they had on Amazon and on Google Play Store and on Apple iTunes Store, it's very interesting going through those evaluations and seeing overwhelmingly Rachio had the highest evaluations, and we felt like how our residents perceive these controllers and rate them by being user-friendly and liking them, I think, is a critical part to the success of this program. And so that had a lot to play. Again, they were one of the 2 lowest bidders, so we feel like with one of these 2, we should be able to do maybe up to 1,000 more than if we would have went with the third one, which actually came more in line with what our estimates were. So we're really excited about this.
Right.
Anyway, we would recommend that you approve that bid for $300,000 to Rachio, condition on approval of Central Utah Water Conservancy District.
Any questions? Not, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the Spanish Fork Water Conservation Plan Sprinkler Controller.
Second.
Bid be awarded to Rachio. Okay, Rachio.
For the amount of $300,000.
For the amount of $300,000.
Now I'll second that.
There you go.
That's who I liked.
Got a motion by Councilman Argyle, a second by Councilmember Beck. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Resolution 18-05, placing an opinion question of the November 6, 2018 Utah County election ballot. I'm not going to read it all.
That's okay. You don't need to.
Thank you.
I hope you have read it, though.
I have read it.
Okay, since we've last met, we have taken the next necessary steps in order to facilitate putting a RAP tax before the citizens to a vote. We have sent a letter to Utah County and asked their permission, basically their intent of whether they were planning to put a such similar tax on the ballot. They have sent a letter back to us confirming that they were not, which gives us the opportunity to do that. Junior's put together this language on this resolution and giving you a sample, some sample language. We've also got, I believe you guys have some other samples that they can look at too in terms of language, but if you look at Exhibit B, Junior's put some sample language in there as to what would be on the ballot. Our next step is basically to have you discuss this, determine whether you would like to move forward with it. We've got to talk about the language we'd like to have on there, and then we send it off to the state in order to get a number. That's our next step. So, do you have those on
Do
there?
you want me to pull that up? Or they have it on the...
Do you guys have it there? Okay, you should have it there.
Yeah, it's on board docs.
All right. So if you want to look at that and have some, yeah, we did send some in there, so they should be in their packet.
So we'll talk later about the verbiage.
We'd like,
Oh.
yeah, we need to have you give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down tonight on whether you want to move forward. So.
But we don't have to settle on this verbiage for the ballot. We're not accepting this exact. Yes, you are. It has to be like this.
We have to have it in order to send it into the state.
Can we add or subtract to it?
Oh, sure.
That's
Yeah,
what,
you can
I think
change.
that's what he's asking.
Yeah. Yeah, you can add to.
Do you have a preference of one you like, Tim?
I gave them two that I think are in the packet that we like. But again, you can have anything tweaked a little bit here or there if you like a certain verbiage better. But yeah, the two that I had in there, one from Orem and one from Payson, both had. And again, we need to put in there, what types of projects that we would like that fit our community. So there's Orms that was passed or that they used in 2013 to re-up their tax. And again, the purposes below we'd obviously customize to fit our community. Things that our citizens would be interested in or like to see. It's relatively simple, but easy to understand.
And what we need to understand here, this is it's 1 cent on every $10.
Yeah, 1/10 of 1%.
So it's a penny on $10.
$10.
And it's for everybody. So we just happened to be at Olive Garden today, having lunch, and talking to the manager there. We asked him how much of his business is not just Spanish Fork, and he said, he said 90 to 60, and so we said 50 or 90 to 50, and he said it's more to 70, to be a rough there. So more than 70% of his business comes from outside Spanish Fork residents. So that means these people would help fund this RAP tax, which is important. And I would dare say that Costco and all our other big box stores are probably right in line with that. So this is when we talk about nobody likes taxes, well, when you take a penny on $10 and you can gather that not just from the citizens of Spanish Fork, you can gather it from everybody that's out there. I think this is probably one of those that's a pretty good deal, and it can generate some interesting or some good things that we can do here in the city. A lot of these people will have committees. They'll give recommendations where this money should be spent. Is that right?
Yes, they do, and that would be determined by this body. You guys would determine how that's set up and organized. They're put together in various ways. I've seen several that are similar to the way we have our regular committees, and they're set up with citizens throughout the community and have a certain term on there, and then they stagger those so that there's always somebody on there that's familiar with the process. And then new ones are coming on, every other year or every year. But that's going to be up to you guys how you structure that. But most of these are governed by, again, it's an advisory committee, so that this body, you guys would be in control of obviously the funds, but they would offer recommendations, take applications, review those, make recommendations to the council on how they want those funds to be spent.
I have a question. Would we get those committees together so by the time people are voting, they know exactly where their money's going to go? Or would it just say something like parks, kind of vague? Then they just have to have faith that the committees will be put together and that will...
Are you talking about the projects themselves?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, what we don't want to do is paint ourselves into a corner, but give, these are projects that we know we have interest in.
Right.
That our citizens have interest in doing in our city. Because again, most of them are set up so that it's an open application for nonprofit organizations that can submit applications. So we don't know exactly what direction this is going to go, but we can tell them, here's some projects that we have heard from the citizenry that they're interested in having, and so we put those on there and say they can fund projects like these. Okay.
So your question, Stacy, is what we put on the ballot for the citizens to vote on. The Exhibit B you have in your document is what would be on the ballot. That would be the proposed language for the ballot. So you see what you have attached to the ordinance is fairly broad. Just talks about recreational, cultural type things within the city. The sample that Dell gives from Orem gives some broader examples, but it's still just pretty broad.
Right.
But what we do need to do, if it's going to be on the ballot this fall, we do need to pass the resolution tonight with the form of the sample ballot as the exhibit. So you need to make those decisions.
So on that sample ballot, the one you've got here for us, right?
We're not approving Exhibit B as the final Bible.
You are if you pass the resolution with it. Now you can change it, but you need to do that tonight.
So if I like Orem's, like I do,
You are going to
I'm
approve
saying
an Exhibit B.
my vote.
Similar to,
yeah.
Okay,
because what
understood.
I would like to see is that it shows that it's 1 cent on $10, because right now people look at this and it just says tax, and so they'll go, oh, another tax. But if we spell it out, I think it makes a difference.
Orem's really educates.
So the difference that way,
Some of the ideas are.
the one says 0.01%, the other says a cent on every $10. It's the same dollar amount, just depends on what you like better to explain it.
Well,
I like both of them being on there.
yeah, they can do them both. Come on, Junior. Work with me.
So, Tyler, can you pull up maybe have all three of them up there?
Yeah.
Let's do the simple one that we have on the agenda, and then let's pull
This
up.
one?
Yep, that's our number one. We'll call that B1. We're gonna go to the eye doctor. One or two, two or three. B1, B2. Now we're gonna play bingo. And then I think Payson's also is in there. Well, and then if I remember, Lehigh's was a lot like our B1, wasn't it? It was pretty generic.
Yeah.
So the committee the focus group that we talked to, they liked more information on the ballot. Just simply giving the person that's at the booth, that may be, and sadly, that may be all the research that they do right there at the booth. And so maybe it's a little bit unorthodox, but having a longer ballot.
Or in the mail.
Were you chosen
Thank you.
to do what?
Yes, we are going in the mail this year. That is.
But it's going to sit on the counter. It's going to be.
Yeah, yes, you're right. So but I think both mine and Dale, Ken, I won't speak for you. You can come up here.
Go back to B.
Our recommendations would be to have a little bit more language, such as the Orem or Provo one. And to your question, Stacy, about do we want to have the committee meet beforehand? I would recommend no, because that's putting the cart maybe a little bit ahead of the horse, if you will. We don't know if the tax is passed. We don't get the money for. I think it's a 90-day wait once it's
once it's, we wouldn't get any, it wouldn't be started to collect until April anyways, and then it takes a while for the money to trickle so we have 6 months to 8 months before we even needed to.
I thought those things on the right, those options would be on the ballot, but it's Exhibit B would be on the ballot, and that's just administrative information, right?
I would recommend that we have something like in the bottom right on the ballot.
Actual ballot.
And so if you read through that language, it says towards the bottom, the proposed care tax, and again, this is Orem's language, would be collected at the rate of 1 cent for every $10 spent in Orem and may be used for purposes such as.
Okay.
Giving the voter a little bit broad understanding of what it would go for. Not saying the Stacy Beck Park, right?
But that would be a great park.
I thought it'd be the theater.
It would just be a good park.
But, not that this is the specific park we're doing, but that it can go for parks, or it can go for trails, or playing fields, or symphonies, orchestras, ballets, and things like that. Okay?
My recommendation is to take off the ongoing operating expenses of city-owned recreation facilities.
Proposition.
Right here?
Yeah, we've never talked about,
Yeah, we don't want that.
I don't think we need that.
Or do you need it, Kent?
I think they need to hear your question.
Oh, it wasn't a question, it was a statement.
Well, part of the RAP tax would be going for funding new assets that impact fees buy. So the impact fee is going to buy the new.
Sorry, you know better than that.
On your holiness.
So not necessarily all O&M, but I think the RAP tax needs to be used for some O&M or potential O&M, because as you grow your programs, you add more ballparks, you add whatever's there, it costs more money to run those programs. New parks, new ballparks, new pickleball courts, all those things. Those will be purchased with impact fee, but there's going to be an operational thing that needs to be use some of the money, and some of this money can be used for that. Otherwise, you're not going to have a funding for assets that you're buying other than property tax or sales tax, and this is another way to get that funding.
So, for example, if we build the Stacy Beck Park.
Let's rename it.
Okay.
That would be the special abilities.
Oh.
Special.
So we build an all abilities park, for example. There's going to be a need to operate it. Now, we're not saying today that we would use RAP tax or care tax funds to do that, but I don't know that we want to say we wouldn't either. I don't think you want to paint yourselves, I think that is a phrase Dale used, I don't think you want to tie your hands to say that you can't use it for an O&M. There might be other sources, of course, sales tax revenue, as it grows, you can continue to use that, but maybe during a recession, as the sales tax tanks, maybe that's a year where we don't do capital projects, but we do need to take some of those and put it towards the maintenance of a park, because we can't scuttle a park.
So could we add the word future before city-owned?
Sure. Yeah, we can do
I
whatever
just
you
think
want.
residents are going to look at that and think, so now we're going to do a RAP tax to pay for things
Doesn't-
that we already have.
Doesn't the same language,
Absolutely, yeah, that makes sense.
same language on the proposition above it, doesn't it kind of arrive to the same thing, that funding may be used to support nonprofit organizations, help, and then the line above it, to help fund recreational amenities and cultural arts facilities. I think you could do that without.
Well, I understand Stacy's concern, because we've had that expressed in our focus group.
Right.
Is this just another pot of money that's going to get sucked into the general fund?
Right.
And that is not the case. But by the same token, if the need arises to be able to support some of those facilities later, we don't want to cut that out and not have that opportunity to do that.
If that's what you want to do, then
Well,
But that's the way it needs to be said.
but here it is, we can set up, if this thing passes, we can set up that committee, and they're an advisory committee. The council, you have the ultimate say.
Right.
Because that's what you were elected for, is to make those decisions. So you're the ones here are going to say where that money goes and what it's used for. So like I said, we don't want to take away that ability to use that wherever we need to use it.
I just think we should add future city-owned things,
Yeah.
not current.
Well, there again, you're saying that you can't use it for any of that. We need to paint a broad brush on this.
Right. Well, and that's the objective, is to make it broad enough that we don't tie our hands, but by the same token, have it be specific enough that you're putting hot buttons in there that people are interested in, because they know, hey, this could go fund this new All Abilities Park, or it could go fund a new swimming pool, or whatever people's hot buttons are, right? You're trying to get their attention so they realize this is really a good deal for the city. If we're having to build this new facility and it's half price, which is going to be less than that if the numbers that we're hearing from our restaurants and other commercial people, that they're getting 60, 70, 80% are non-residents. They're helping to fund these for the city. So it makes sense for us to be able to put things on there and help people understand what this really is, and how these things are funded and what types of things. So you can see they're pretty broad there. But yeah, I don't think they want to get the misconception that we're just going to throw this into the general fund.
Right.
That's not a good message to send either, because they're leery of it. They've already brought it up.
So again, that's not the intent, but when this sits on my counter, that's all. I'm with Stacy. I want to know specifically, because if I am someone that doesn't understand, it's just a tax. And if you tell me where it's going and it's going there, then
Well, you notice
I
on
think it'll connect better.
these other ones, they don't say that we are going to do this. It says it can be used for those, such as. So,
Then does it make sense to go with the Payson one, the top one, just so it's less confusing?
well, it's a lot. It's a lot of. When I say a lot, I get lost in long Facebook posts.
I like how the Payson example does say that it's a 10-year levy.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these are just for 10 years.
Right.
And it
They have
says
to be
1
renewed
10.
after 10 years.
Yeah, it says the 1 cent on every $10, so it's just more specific on that too. So I like the top one.
I definitely want to have the, shown that it's 1 cent on $10. That definitely needs to be in there. And I'm okay with putting down here, these are some of the things that these can be used for.
Okay. Yeah. But not limited to. I like that language right there. Such as, but not limited to.
I think that also, I think the Payson one, we'll call that BP. B Payson?
BP?
B. Exhibit B.
Oh, okay.
Stop it here.
Well, and you can see in that first paragraph up there, to help fund recreational amenities and cultural arts facilities and organizations.
Mm-hmm.
There again, that can mean a lot of things, but it also can mean O&M for those organizations, O&M for city organizations if need be. And so you don't have to throw it right out in their face, which we know they're concerned about anyway. I do know there was and again, the comforting fact is you guys are in control of where that money's spent. And I know there's a city council to the north of us that has started pumping some of that money in to help support O&M, and it's not going over very well.
Right.
Because the money's got lost. Our taxpayers need to see that they're getting something for.
And that's the only point that,
They
again,
have to
I'll
see
keep trying to drive is it may be used. No, it has to be used for parks and recreation and arts, right? Somewhere that should say this money has to be used.
So it,
not may up there. That's gray for me if I'm new to this.
So
it may, but we might pull it over and pave some roads with it.
So we cannot do that.
But if I just got this today and I don't know anything, and that's all I'm getting at.
Okay. Yeah, and we need to make sure
But
that's
it
clear.
has to be used for, what does care mean? It just says care. But it has to be used for cultural, arts, recreation.
Right. Yeah, we cannot use this for streets. We can't use this for public safety.
I know that.
Right, no,
But it may be used to support, but it may not. It might go to
But we will
something.
have,
That's all I'm saying.
we have to have the for and against arguments in there. There'll be some other material that will help educate.
So the most important sentence, I think, to your point, and we can't have this be all things, as far as the language, but the most important part of this up here for you to that point is line 2, that says to help fund recreational amenities and cultural art facilities in the city. So that's the reason, that's where we get it and what we call it. Whether we call it RAP or CARE, I don't know if we've nailed down what we want. There's a little bit of split, so we need to decide if we're going to call it a RAP or CARE, park. Was there your rec committee's recommendation was park? With a C? It's known as RAP in many, many circles, and so that may be effective. Park is what the rec committee recommended. So I don't think we can get everything in there because sooner or later there'll be reader fatigue. So that's the most important sentence there, Councilman Gordon, and I think if we want to get rid of or change that, maybe we do. The title, so over here in the Exhibit B, the title, Spanish Fork City Proposal to Impose a Sales and Use Tax for Cultural Arts and Recreation Organizations or Facilities. So again, that's specifically identifying what we're thinking about.
So in B, it spells that out. But I think we need to add the penny and so they understand that for the people that I run with.
They don't have to calculate it in their head. They know it's
Okay,
a penny on $10.
I can recognize what a penny off $10 is real quick.
So are we leaning then towards the Payson one? Should the city of Spanish Fork, Utah enact a local sales and use tax of 0.1%, parentheses, 1 cent for every $10 spent, close parentheses, to help fund recreational amenities and cultural arts facilities and organizations in Spanish Fork City, said tax to be levied for 10 years. Funding may be used to support nonprofit organizations providing programs such as, but not limited to, and we can take this list of 5 items. Looks like we're missing operas. We don't have many operas here, but we could add the word opera. We could add ballet, dance companies up there. Choral groups is there.
That's why they've custom made it for Payson.
Right. Yeah. So we could add those. So we'd have 2 more bullet points and add those. I don't know if there's any more you want to add. I can't think of any others. And then funding may be used for capital improvements of publicly owned or operated amenities such as, but not limited to, parks. Will you scroll that up for me, Tyler? Parks, playing fields, trails, bike paths, performing arts center, museums, pool enclosures.
Just put pool.
Pool, yeah. Maybe we change it to swimming pools. Okay, we can add the word. We can add splash pad up there. I would recommend maybe bumping the word museums up there. We don't have a city-owned museum, but we do have a Daughters of the Utah Pioneers Museum in town. I'm certain that they at some point would have a potential request they'd like to put in. So maybe we add the word museums to that one.
It's in parks.
Parks. I don't know if I would specifically get to all abilities parks on the ballot, but certainly parks would cover that. And in conversations, we can certainly talk about that as well. But I don't know. If you want us to put all abilities park, you can. And I'd add the word splash pad up there and get rid of the word enclosure.
Why does Orem not have yes or no on theirs?
It might be on the bottom, or is it not?
It's not.
We probably ought to have that.
It's a for or against.
I don't know. Yeah, we would.
Actually, I think I pulled that off of the presentation, so it's.
Oh, you just
Probably-
pulled it,
probably-
but they had it on there.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm also looking at how ours looks versus Payson's. Yes, no, for the imposition of or against. And I don't have an opinion on that, but.
And then do you want it to say yes or no? 'Cause Councilman Gordon just said he didn't have an opinion, so I'm going to force everybody to have one. Do you want it to say yes or no, or do you want it to say for?
So is it an issue to just put like they just put yes or no, where we spell out the sales tax and the what's
fix that.
Is that legal? Do we have to have for and against like that, or can it be yes or no?
All the ones I've ever seen is for or against.
So Payson's might have been that too. That just might have.
It's just the power.
But you can just put for or against. Do we have to spell out for them opposing sales tax or own?
You're for that proposition, you're proposing to pass.
Well, I know you spelled it all out, you read it all down, so
That's the way they
the
want
bottom you just put yes or no, or for or against.
Yeah, I think having the, for the imposition, I think it adds a little bit of clarity. I think you don't think it does?
I think it does.
I'm for it.
Hey, someone's super.
That'd be fine. I have no opinion.
Wow. And if you buy that,
It's
I
gonna
got
be a
some
struggle.
oceanfront.
All right,
You have
so,
to pull opinions out of them.
so you got,
So I made some verbal changes.
is everybody okay
Everybody,
with that?
everybody like that?
You guys are good with that?
Yep.
And we can type that up really fast and then throw it up back up
Is there-
here and come back.
Is there anything else we're missing off this list? Because again, you gotta have something that's gonna appeal to a wide array of people. Because you're gonna get a wide array of requests. Applications for funding that are gonna come in. So anything you guys can think of that may be there, or that might be something that our citizens may feel they have a need for.
We do have the but not limited to.
Right. I just think the things that you list on there have got to be things that are appealing to our citizens, not just a generic list that came from. So if you want to list specific things, like an abilities park, I mean, it is covered in parks. I don't know strategically whether that makes a difference or not.
It's covered. I mean, these are what it says, limited to, but, providing programs such, but not. So I think it leaves yourself open that you can use it for what you would like it's similar to that. So parks is, an abilities park would fall under parks. Unless you want
This
spell
verbiage
out.
is just the 10,000-foot level.
Right. But it's like Brandon said, if this is all I've got sitting there on my counter, yeah, it can't be all things, but at least what's there needs to be able to help them. Now, I'm sure we're gonna have other information that's going out about this, educational wise, so that they know,
There'll be more information.
they know specifics, and that pamphlet's really you'll be able to really tie down a whole bunch of specifics in there. Yeah.
Okay, is it Brando?
Yeah, I'm a little, I don't know what the word is, but I feel like our discussion to put it on the ballot is being overshadowed by a debate of what this sample ballot should put. And I feel like I'm a little up against the gun that we have to do it tonight. And if that's my only thing that's going through my head right now, is we have to do it tonight, right, Junior?
We've been talking about it for 6 months.
So I know we've been talking about it, but
Yeah.
but
We got the election in November.
but then we get thrown at, do you like these two options, and then here's ours, and
So you do
I'm
not
saying-
have
you're
to
saying
put
I gotta
this, you do
choose
not
that
have to
tonight.
approve this tonight.
Okay,
But
that helps me.
we are not then approving the resolution tonight. We can't send it to the lieutenant governor until
Doesn't
we.
help me.
Well, no, it does. I can't. The next step is we have to have the resolution, which has the sample language that we send to the lieutenant governor. We don't send it tonight. We wait 2 weeks, do it again, and we send it to the lieutenant governor then.
So my point, we moved on to this, but we're still discussing, like the mayor says, the resolution, the going on the ballot as well, and moving the cart before the horse. But there's a lot of verbiage that could be potentially on this ballot that's going to be in homes.
I think it's got to be at least the cities I've talked to is we want to get the language right. We don't want to nail us down to too thin of items to help with this tool that's going to be here if it passes. But the onus is really going to be on our education of getting out there and making sure people are educated enough to make a decision. And like you said, we are going to have undoubtedly some people that this is the only thing they're going to see of it, because they open up the ballot. But it's on us to help make sure every other avenue is covered of this is what that means and this is what it could be. So
does the voter information pamphlet go out with that? Does it go out? It doesn't go out with a ballot, does it? So it goes out before? And that's really where the meat of this thing's going to be, is in that.
This is our revised one, right?
Is in that for and against voter information pamphlet, so they can read both sides of the issue.
How soon do we plan on doing like education things? Like July during Fiesta Days? Would that be the first kickoff, or sooner or later? Or have we thought about that?
Well, again, most things we don't want to do too early.
Right.
But just in terms of public open houses, we'd like to hold a couple of those, 2 or 3 or however many there's interest in. The Parks and Rec Committee, I know, is interested in forming a citizens group that's going to go out and do their own thing. So our purpose is going to be merely to educate and make sure people are informed, that they know what this is about, so they can make an educated, informed decision. So no, Fiesta Days is probably not too early to start launching some things. I don't know that I would go much before that. But we're going to make a concerted effort to make sure people have every opportunity to know what this is about.
So here's B2.
Are we on park or are we on care?
does it say the city?
This is Spanish Fork.
Did we add the city council, or is that on the?
It was on the Payson one. We can take that off.
That is on the Payson one.
City of Spanish Fork.
City council is
We're calling this a park tax.
Orem says City of Orem.
Timeline, it was mentioned. If it doesn't,
Mayor says City Council.
if it does, if there's no action taken tonight, as has been discussed a little bit, do we miss the ballot, or is there a different drop dead date
Fox News alert.
to get it to the lieutenant governor?
So the recommendation is the end of June. We want to have it in June, I guess is what I would recommend. The only issue that you ever face here, which isn't a big deal, but it is the only issue, that what's the proposition number? The lieutenant governor numbers those. Every proposition in the state gets a number, and there is no duplication. So a request from, say, Washington County that came in first, they'd get 1. And one from Salt Lake County would get 2, 3, and 4. So we might be, 2, 5, or 36, whatever, just a function of the numbering. And then I think it reads on the ballot in order of number, whatever I might be voting on. So if I'm voting on 3 propositions, and it's Proposition 2, Proposition 17, and Proposition 35, it's just which one comes first. So there is no absolute, you have to do it today, but we do it, whenever we do it all. So we have to approve the resolution.
I thought it had to be in by June 1st, and so last week, King tells me it's July 1st.
Oh, okay. So the next step is we have to do this. We do the resolution with it.
I just want to make sure that's right. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to be more critical than
Not a problem at all.
I'm sounding. I'm just telling you I want that to be right.
Perfect. And that is wonderful. I'd much rather it be right than.
I know you would agree.
So no worries there. But we just can't, we'll do it all together whenever that is.
So going with this, to do it right, what more do we need to add to this to make everybody comfortable?
What did we settle on? Yes, no, maybe, like Mike used to get in love notes.
Oh,
You gotta go for or against.
For or against, it has to be.
It's got 4, and they're
I
going
like
to write
for and
down.
against.
I do too.
Apparently they like it spelled out, like in B instead of B2.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Run it on its own bullet.
Because right now, while we're all here, let's figure it all out.
We don't today.
All right. The issue is a problem.
So,
Right.
Well, there it
The
is.
one that's up there, it sounds more like an opinion.
But the question mark? Didn't you have English in high school? Should.
That needs to be
Copy the
stated.
full
Should,
or against.
that's a question.
Sorry?
Copy the for or against.
That
I like
needs to be
the
stated.
for and against. 'Cause then it's yes, there's a yes or no.
Okay,
Could be.
so what I would recommend at this point is that we table the discussion right now, and I have maybe 3 homework items, since I get to be the teacher. One, we need to have the correct name. And so we've had wrap tax, we've had park tax, and we've had care tax.
Park is what the committee recommends.
Yeah, I support the.
And park is the C, so we
They
need to have that.
recommended The only real advantage to doing a wrap tax is it's pretty commonly known.
Everybody knows what a wrap tax is.
People who know what the wrap tax is know it by that. People that don't know anything wouldn't know. If they don't know this, they wouldn't know it either way. But if people are into this kind of stuff, they would know probably the name wrap tax. So we need to nail down the name. We need to nail down the ballot language. That may be it. I said 3 items, but I'm forgetting what the third one could have been.
You heard the teacher.
Yes or no, for or against.
Oh, yeah, we can look into that. We'll look into the yes or no, for or against, and stuff like that. We can do that.
Or if there are items that you want to, other items.
Yeah, and then we need to.
Or take away.
Perfect. So there you go. We went up to 4. The name, what bullet points you want, for or against, yes or no, long language, short language, and what confusion that gives. And then.
Oh, the Beck, yeah, I like that one.
So can you tell me what that acronym stands for?
Oh, man.
Ooh. No, and I don't know if I dare ask.
We want PRCA. Cowboy tag. That's what I would recommend at this point. I think, we love this discussion. Thank you. You might have felt like there was some confusion. We loved it. We think it's great because we want to make sure that you understand what we're doing.
Our homework is we want, coming our next council meeting, we
Ready to
need to
go.
be prepared to
Ready to go.
vote on this.
So in the meantime, talk to your neighbors, talk to people. Whatever you feel like you need to do to get to that comfort level, do that. And
Well, and if we're missing some hot buttons that need to go on there,
Well, I mean,
it's
if,
pretty general, so it covers almost anything.
if you want a hot button, if you want to put an all abilities park on there, then, people relate to that. And say that, this is what that could be used for.
Good in Orem, yeah. So are we tabling this then? Just move to table it until?
we can't act on it without this being done.
Yeah, okay. You
And
need a
now we
motion
have the
for that,
time, Junior?
then?
Yeah, I will ask
To
for.
table the resolution? I move we table the resolution number 18-05 until the next city council meeting.
Second.
So we got a motion by Councilman Gordon, a second by Councilmember Beck. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That is tabled. And do your homework. There will be a test in 2 weeks.
Any discussion items?
Not only do your homework, but bring it back to us before the next meeting so we
Yeah,
can
yeah.
incorporate it into language.
Yeah. Have it all a week before we come. Submit your test to Seth,
Will do.
and he'll correct it.
This new one.
Any discussion items tonight?
Yeah, let us know ahead of time so we can prepare the
Yeah.
language so we can like.
Will you send that to us?
All right. Apparently not. Let's
Then I
go
move
to,
we go into closed session for reasonably imminent litigation and land transaction.
Second.
got a motion by Councilman Gordon, a second by Councilman Mendenhall. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for being here.
Tyler, 2007.